thing as well. It is just a simple class that tells you how do you recognize Chinese characters. Basically, we'll be recognizing it by seeing how is it made, like how did it come about. Okay. All right. So can you guys see my screen? I'm just checking. Is this screen viewable?
Yeah, viewable.
Okay, great, awesome. All right, 很好. Okay, so let's start our class. Now let's give you guys a bit of a background on like the Mandarin characters. So the Mandarin characters, how many characters do we have in the Mandarin language world? Well, some say it's like thousands, right? Okay, so back then in the 17th, 18th century, this emperor called the Kangxi Emperor from the Qing dynasty compiled all the Mandarin characters available. At the time when he compiled it into this book. It's called the 字典, 康熙字典, 康熙字典. All right, so when he compiled it, he found that there is more than 47,000 Chinese characters, and this is back in the 18th and 19th century. So you can see we have so many Chinese characters. Of course, some of you, if you are new to Mandarin, you would probably say, oh my God, there's so many Mandarin languages, Mandarin characters. How am I supposed to memorize all this? So the good news is you're not going to have to memorize all 47,000 of them. This is just for you to know, just as base in your knowledge to know that there are more than 47,000 Chinese characters out there. All right. So when he compiled this characters, all the characters, right? He compiled it into this book. He called it the 字典. In English, it's called the Canon of Characters. And a very fun fact, the word 字典 is now today known as the word for dictionary. So in Mandarin, dictionary is 字典. Some of them would call it 词典, but usually it's 字典. Alamak, can you see my screen? Is my screen still viewable to you? Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Oh,
We can see
it's
you.
still viewable. No, can you see the screen?
Yes, we do. We do.
Okay, great, awesome, because I cannot see my screen. Hold on. Sorry, I'm just gonna reshare again. Oh my God, what happened here? Okay, all right. I'm just gonna reshare my screen. Okay, so now the word 字典 is the Mandarin word for dictionaries. All right, moving on. 47,000, huh? Okay, so as you can see, it's quite overwhelming to know. As you know, the English and Malay languages only has 26 alphabets, and how do we form words is we combine these alphabets to form new words. But a good news for you is that learning about 3,000 to 4,000 Chinese characters is actually good enough. We don't need to know more than that. Why? Because when the Chinese government basically sorted out like your Chinese test, which was introduced by your teacher Chow just now, I remember teacher Chow was saying, oh, you have like your HSK exams, right? So fun fact, HSK exams has about, for now it has about 6 levels. So these 6 levels, right, it actually has like a number of characters that you will have to learn in order for you to master the exam, right? So as I was saying, this HSK, so each level has like a few number of characters from the Mandarin language that you will have to memorize. So to use in our daily language, memorizing about 3,000 to 4,000 Chinese characters is quite good enough. It's pretty much your equivalent to HSK 5. Some say HSK 6, but memorizing these are good enough. But then again, as I said last week, when it comes to Mandarin, right, it's not just about your intonation, it's also about your characters. Why? Because sometimes words of the same intonation can be different characters, all right? It can be different characters, all right? So it's okay, we will go through it slowly. We are all doing it together. Okay, as I was saying, HSK level. So you see, HSK level is actually the lowest level that we can take. And to take level 1, you would need about 150 vocabulary. You will need about 150 vocabulary. To master level 6 is about 5,000 plus. But for my personal experience, I don't think I knew about 5,000 plus. I think about 4,000 plus to 5,000 should be enough. But the general level for you to even enter any university in China, the general universities, of course, will be level 5. Level 6 are for those very advanced learners. So level 5, you see, you need to master about 2,500 vocabulary. Okay? All right. Now, moving on. How do we recognize and how do these characters came about? So Mandarin characters, they are formed by 6 ways. 6 ways you can see here. The first one is pictograph. Pictograph is very straightforward. It's from picture and then it pretty much forms your characters today. The second one is ideogram. You have an idea which are symbolized by pictures and then you kind of put it together, therefore the gram. And then you have your word. And then you have your combined ideogram, which is your extension of the second one. The fourth one is your phonetic compound. What does the word sound like? How should it look like because of that sound? That is your phonetic compound. The fifth and the sixth will not be something that we will go through today, but just know that yes, we have mutual explanatory. That's how some characters came about. And some of them came from phonetic loans. What is phonetic loans? Phonetic loans is just like how you have English words today, which are sort of Malayfied. They are loaned from other languages. Of course, still within the Mandarin realm, you still pronounce it the way a Chinese speaker would speak. It's just that when you speak it all together, then it will sound like the English word. Okay? All right. Sorry, I'm just gonna all right. Okay, moving on. Sorry for the distortion. I think there was an issue with my PowerPoint just now when it disconnected. So as I was saying, pictograph is from your pictures and your shapes. So generally speaking, most of the characters that we know today in Mandarin world is pretty much from the form of picture writing. What is the meaning of picture writing? You will see some examples later. But before we see the examples, let's look at some of these words. Let's look at this one. What does this look like to you? What does that look like to you? Does that look like anything familiar? Ooh, that wasn't very clear. All right, it's okay. It's fine. Sorry?
W.
W. Okay. When I say pictogram, it usually comes from the depiction of something that you can see. It's all right. It's okay. I will show to you like what do I mean by pictograph. All right. I'm just going to mute some people here. All right, good. I like that participation. Keep it up. All right, let's look at the next slide so that we can see some examples of pictographs. Now, the first one. What does this look like to you? Anyone?
Woman? It's
A
like
woman.
a woman dancing.
It's like a woman dancing. I like the dancing part, so imaginative. But you guys have got it right. A woman, correct? A woman. And from this woman, from this picture of a woman, it pretty much evolved into what we call today as 女, the word for women. You can see. Can you see the points where it sort of like collides? The arms crossing. So you can see it here. The shoulders. And you have the head. Do you see it? Do you see how this picture is transferred into a character? Now that is an example of a pictograph. Now let's repeat after me the word for lady or women, girls, basically female in general. We see 女. Let's repeat after me. 女.
女.
很好. Recalling our last week's lesson, whenever we see this U with this dot dot, we pronounce it as we. Some might find it hard to pronounce, so I'm just going to show how you pronounce it, all right? My camera is on, right? Okay. Take 2 fingers from each of your hand. You put it at the edge of your lips, all right? Then you press your lips. We. So when you pronounce 女, it's 女. It might feel a bit awkward or funny when you do it first, but once you're used to pronouncing the word 女, then you don't have to press your edge of your lips anymore. 女, because I'm used to it. 女. So don't forget You with the double dot is we. Okay, so never ever say, these are the two common mistakes that I see from beginners in Mandarin. First of all, they will pronounce it as nu. Nu. So that is not correct, because nu can also mean anger. So that's not correct. Okay, I know, like, it is a stereotype to say that ladies are pretty much prone to certain emotions, but that is not how we pronounce ladies. We pronounce nu, not nu. That is the first mistake. Second mistake they will say is, instead of nu, nui. I'm going to say it slowly now. Nui. Instead of pronouncing nui, they pronounce it as new. Okay, new is also incorrect. New can also mean cow, which is a different word. All right, so please, whenever we see this word nu that looks like this character, always remember that it is pronounced as nu. Okay, all right, moving on. Let's look at some other examples of pictographs. What does this look like to you? This is very straightforward. Anyone?
Mountain.
Very good. Mountain. Okay. Yes, very good. Mountain. And how is it translated into a form of character today? It looks like this. This was one that I asked you guys. Do you see the similarities? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Do you see it? Yes, you can see it, right? So you see, this one forms the word mountain. How do you pronounce the word mountain today? It is the word shan. Shan. Come repeat after me. Shan.
Shan.
Shan. 很好. Shan. Okay, very good. Now let's look at another form of pictograph. What does this look like to you?
A half moon.
Half
The arrow.
Arrow. Okay. A half moon and arrow. Okay, let's just look at this one. This one on the left. A half moon. Anyone with a different answer? No, no one with a different answer. Yes, you got it right. This is the picture of the moon. You can see this one on the left evolved to this one in the middle. And today it formed this word, yue, yue. Therefore, this becomes a word for moon. Can you repeat me? Yue. Yue. Very good. So yue is the word for moon. How did it become this one? How did it become this one? Maybe somewhere in the middle. Someone thought that the moon have a smiling face. Yeah, therefore it becomes the word yue. So if you guys are a fan of like some Chinese influence shows, like for example, the first thing I can think of is Avatar, the Legend of Aang. One of the characters, the name is Yue, and then that character became the moon. That's because the name is literally moon. Okay, Yue. Right, so now, just so that you guys can relate to the pop culture a bit. All right, so the word for moon is yue, fourth tone. So that.
老师 cannot see your face 看不到你的脸
哦，是啊，刚我关掉，sorry. All right. Okay. All right, the next one. What does this look like to you?
Sun.
Sun. Very good. Anyone with a different answer? No. Okay.
Donut maybe.
Do you think back then they have donuts? But I like your creativity. Okay, very good. Light. Very good. That is a very good answer as well. Okay, so this is pretty much the sun or the day or light. Okay, you are very concise with your what do you call that? Guesses. Okay, this one evolved to become the one that you see in the middle. And today, because we don't really have rounds or circles in Mandarin characters, we do have dots though, but the dot is something more different from this. We don't have rounds though. It has evolved to become something a bit more squarish. Therefore, becomes the word r. Now, today, this word r, right, means day. R. Can you repeat at me? R. R. Always remember R-I versus R-E, different pronunciations. Yeah, so R-I is r. Okay, let's look at another example. What is this? This one no need to guess. Quite straightforward, right? It's a cow. Very good. So it's a cow. How did this become today's words? You can see, yeah. You have this, and they tried to depict it this way, and then it evolved to become like this, and then it evolved to become like this. This one reminds you of the trident, right? But of course, this does not refer to the trident. It refers to the cow. And today, it has evolved to become this word. New. New. Come with me. New.
New.
很好. As you can see, yeah, the two horns here has pretty much disappeared. It only became one horn. And this is the head. And you can see how it's translated to today's character. Interesting, right? All right, let's look at another sample. What does this look like to you?
Man.
Sorry?
Man.
A man. Very good. That is a very good guess. Someone else would say farmer though. But yes, a man. Very good. Because last time the people back then, if they're not in the army, they are actually here farming, or maybe they're doing some other things, maybe become merchants or traders. But yes, generally we see the people, they will look like this, hunch over, trying to pick the paddy field. This person, this man, they use this form of evolve to become this word, 人. 人, can you got me? 人.
人.
人. Okay, all right, so moving on. What does this look like to you?
Tree.
Tree, very good. So they use this to depict a tree, like a star, like an asterisk, except that it's missing a horizontal line. And today, it has evolved to become this word, mu. Mu. But the special thing about this word mu, right, it actually refers to wood instead of tree. See, yeah, why? This mu only refers to the base here. It doesn't have the leaves here. That's why it doesn't refer to the tree. But mu in general can be referred to as a wood, trees without leaves. If you have a tree and you have a trunk, that's a mu as well. Okay? All right. Now let's look at the second way for us to know where do some Chinese characters came about, which is ideograms. What is it? It's basically point to the matter, point to the matter. It has two types. The first type is using a pictograph with an indicating sign. What do I mean by that? An indicating sign. So remember this word. What word is this? Remember? Anyone can recall how to pronounce this? We just looked at it just now. Mu, 很好. So mu, when you add a horizontal line and then it looks like this, it refers to the root of a tree. And on top of that, not only the meaning changes, but the pronunciation changes as well. From mu, now it becomes burn, okay, burn. So even the pronunciation change. So that's why the characters are important for you. All right, now let's look at the second example. This word is tao. Tao. Tao means the knife, a knife. Any kind of knife, you say tao. Okay, then you add a dot. Then it becomes a different word, which refers to the sharpest place of a knife. The second way of using basically ideograms to depict anything that you mean in the Mandarin world is to use symbols to express abstract concepts. What does that mean? Very simple. Look at this. Can anyone guess what word is this? What does it mean? It means one.
One.
Why? Because there's only one line. This one, two lines. What does it mean? Two. Then you have here 3 lines. What does it mean?
Three.
Very straightforward, right? So simple, right? You might not know how to pronounce it, but you can see and you can guess. I think this one means 1, 2, or 3. Now, what is the fourth word though? How interesting. Can anyone tell me what the meaning of the fourth word is? This one is very easy to guess as well. Okay, so I'll give you guys a bit of a clue. When you want to describe to someone using your body language that something is big, something is huge, what do? You will spread your arms out wide, right? You will spread your arms, right? Correct or not? Oh, come spread your arms, sir. Spread your arms. Ah, that is the word for big. This is the word for big. Ta. You see, this person is spreading their arms. Okay? So, as I was trying to explain just now, you have a pictograph, then it became today's character, then you add this line, then it becomes a different word, bird, which means root. Now, let's take this same line at the bottom of the word mu. You change it, you put it on top, as you can see here, on top. It becomes a different word. It becomes mo. What does it mean? It means the top of the tree, the top of the tree. You see how it evolves, right? From pictograph, and then you have an ideograph because you have an idea of how to show something to someone. So interesting, right? To learn the evolution of Mandarin. All right, the third way of seeing how some Mandarin characters came about is combined ideograms. What is it? It's basically a compounded ideographs, meaning you combine two or more existing characters or radicals. What is a radical? Radical, we will see later. We will see later what is a radical. So, combined ideogram, you have meaning and meaning. You have this one, mu and mu. Then becomes one character with two mu inside. Can anyone tell me what do they think this word is? There's another one here, mu and mu and mu. Some more. Then becomes one word. Anyone can guess or not? What is it referring to?
Mumu.
What? It refers to the what?
Mumu.
No, it doesn't refer to the mumu. It refers to the forest. Why? You have so many trees, right? All the trees coming together, then it becomes a forest. This one is the word for sun. This one is the word for lim. Sunlin is the word for forest. Okay, jungle. Huh? All right. So remember just now this word. What word is this?
Fly.
A fly. Oh no, just now we learned.
Light.
What is it? How do you pronounce it?
日
对，日很好。This one?
This is you.
月很好，月日 and 月 So what do these two characters have in common? It shows something has light, right? Because 日 is day, very bright, 月 is also bright. You can see it at night. It lightens up your dark sky. Combine it together, you have a new word, 明. Ming. This word is Ming. What does it mean? It means clear. It means clear. Interesting, right? All right. Now let's look at this one. This one you have never learned before. But what does this look like to you? It looks like a farming land, right? Right? It looks like a sawah padi, like a farming land. So this word is the word li. This is tian. This is li. Tian and li. Li means what? Power. So a farming land, a sawah padi, you combine it with power. What does it become? This one is very interesting. It becomes the word for male. The word for male. The word is nan. Nan. Okay, the word is nan. All right. Sorry about that. What happened here? Okay. Okay. So the word is nan. Nan is the word for male. Now we know what is the word for male and female. So nan is male, nu is female. All right, let's look at it some more. Another way of having combined ideographs. You have here, this is a tree, right? This is a mook. And then, as I said, when you combine two mooks together, it refers to a forest or a jungle. And as you can recall, the word for a man, like human in general, is run, and it looks like this. Okay? Then when you have this run, and then you sort of flip it around, you put it under a tree. What do people do usually under a tree? They rest. So you take this run, you flip it around. Yeah. Now it looks like this. Then you put it next to a tree. Then it forms a new word. Siu. Siu. Siu is the word for resting. So it's just a man resting under a tree. Next to a tree. Either way works. Yeah. Interesting, right? Let's look at it some more. This is where I introduce a radical. What is a radical? Like I explained just now, you have a man and then you flip it around, and then you put it next to a word, a character that we already know. Then this forms a new word. Now, this man, because it's flipped around, not because it's flipped around, it's flipped around, it forms as something that we call a radical. A radical. What is a radical? It's not like the one that you see on the news kind of radical. It's just a term. Okay, it's a term. It's a term for something that you would see repetitively in some characters. For example, this run forms this radical. This radical, the name is Tan Ren Pang. You don't have to memorize. You don't have to memorize Tan Ren Pang. And usually, in general, whenever you see any character with this Tan Ren Pang, you know that it has something to do with human beings. For example, the word Siu, it has something to do with human beings. Of course, you can use it to describe animals as well, but it has something to do with human beings. And it means rest. And you can see this one. Ta is a word for him or her. Ta. You can see that there is a radical here. Okay. Now, ta for this radical run, usually it can refer to him or her. But nowadays, especially those if you're a fan of Taiwanese publications, or if you're a fan of like the modern novels of Mandarin modern novels, then you would see him and her being used differently, meaning it's depicted differently. So for him, they use the Tan Ren Pang, the human being radical. Okay, but for her, they use a different radical. We will see later. Now, you can see this word ni, which refers to you, also has this Tan Ren Pang, this human radical. And then the word chou, which is enemy and foes, also uses this radical. So basically, radical is a common thing that you can see in certain other characters, and it usually ties you or makes you relate to what this word could be about. All right. Another radical is the word nü. The word nü. Just a disclaimer, not all words that you can see that we learned today can be formed as a radical. It's just that now I'm just bringing up some samples of radicals based on the words that we have learned. So this radical, this nü, is called 女字旁, 女字旁. But when it's formed as a radical, much like how you have ren, you flip it around, looks like this, that becomes a radical. 女 becomes a radical by removing this part. You can see this line protruding up here, right? But when it's used as a radical, this line disappears. You can see no more line here, no more line here, no more line here, no more line here. And as you guys can guess it, 女 refers to, because when it's used as a radical, it refers to something that has to do with females. Females. So you can see 妈妈, the word 妈 has this radical. 妈. 姐 has this radical, sister. 妹, younger sister, also has the same radical. 她 also has this radical. So remember just now I was saying 她. This 她 can either refer to him or her, but nowadays it's more commonly, it's getting more and more common to be used to refer as only him. But for the purposes of our class, from here on out, this 她 can also refer to him or her. All right. So 她 uses this radical to refer to him. And this 她, same pronunciation, but different characters, uses a different character to refer to her. To refer to her. Okay, moving on. All right. And going back to the Kangxi Zidian that I mentioned just now, yes, we have about 47,000 characters, but the same dictionary pretty much compiled it and tells you that there are about 214 radicals. Again, you don't have to memorize all of them. You will see which ones are common as we go along the lesson. Right. Okay, moving on. Phonetic compounds. What is the meaning of phonetic compounds? Meaning, what does it sound like? And that is how we will put the words together. And then from there, we have the meaning and the sound combined together. For example, remember the word ma we see just now? The word ma we see just now? The radical is the word female, which is 女. The word is female, 女. Now, can anyone guess what is this thing on the right pronounced as? It's pronounced as ma. Ma. It means horse. It means horse. But when you combine it, of course, it becomes a different word. But how do you pronounce it? You take the pronunciation, you loan the pronunciation from this letter, ma, horse. Okay, therefore it becomes today's Ma. All right, let's look at some samples. As I mentioned just now, ma, ma, it came from the depiction of a horse, then it evolved to become today's ma. All right. Some examples here. Ma, you can see your radical is different, but it's pronounced as this one on the right, except the tone change. This one ma is the tone. This one becomes a first tone. Another sample. Ma, neutral tone. Ma. This is a word that we use to indicate a question. 你好吗? I'm sure you guys have heard of that phrase. 你好吗? It's used to indicate a question. Another word that loaned the sound of the word ma is this word. Ma. So you can see it still has the same word here, ma here, but they add 2 boxes up on top of that. I'm calling it boxes because you don't, never mind, I'm just going to call it boxes, yeah? And this one has a different meaning and a different tone. First one, it means, first one is pronounced as ma. That's the first one. The second one, it means angry, scolding. I'm scolding you. Ma, 我骂你，他骂他. He is scolding her. She is scolding him. Okay, so you can see. So this one gives you a clue as well as how to pronounce any words. So let's say you encounter a word that you don't know how to pronounce. You see this word and you don't know how to pronounce it, but you identify the characters usually on the right, like here, they're on the right or at the bottom. You identify the character. Oh, you know this one is ma. Then your good guess, your best bet is actually to guess that it's pronounced as ma. Either first tone, second tone, third tone, fourth tone, might be anything, but that is your best bet. Yeah, let's look at another sample. This one. Can anyone guess what this word came from? It came from snakes. Came from snakes. However, this word apa, it does not refer to snakes or anymore today because as the language, the pronunciation evolves, not the language, the character evolves, so does the meaning for some of them. Today, it normally is used in this word 巴士, which refers to a bus. Now, this one is pronounced as pa. What are some words that actually borrows the pronunciation of pa into their character? Let's look at it. First word is pa. Papa, your father. Papa, you can see. On top of it is a different word. On top of it is the word fu, also means father. But they add on this one to indicate that this is pronounced as pa. Okay, let's look at another one. You have pa, which is something you put at the end of the sentence, either to ask someone to do something along with you or as a confirmation sentence, which you will learn later on in other lessons. Pa. And the last one is ba. Notice all of these have the same pronunciation, but a different intonation. All of them sounds like ba, but different intonations. So ba is the word that we use, a measure word we use to describe any kind of sticks. Yeah. All right, moving on. Now let's learn some basic strokes in the Chinese characters. Some basic strokes are these pretty much 8 basic strokes. Very simple, right? You can see it here. Now let's look at how do you write some of these words. So whenever you see a horizontal line in the Mandarin character, whenever at all, regardless lah, how it looks like, most of the time, it is written from left to right. Left to right. Left to right. And this stroke is called heng. Okay. Because we are doing online classes, so I can't really see how you write things, but always remember whenever you see a horizontal stroke, most probably it is left to right. There are certain cases where it will be right to left, we will see later. But in the case of just a standalone horizontal line, it is a left to right stroke. Left to right. So you can take your hand, do a left to right horizontal stroke. Then you have your heng. Okay. Next one. Whenever we see a vertical line as well, most of the time, most of the cases, actually all of the cases, it is always written from top to bottom, top to bottom, top to bottom. So take your finger, draw a line, vertical line, top to bottom. It's always top to bottom. And this stroke is called shu. Shu. All right, next one. This one is an upward stroke. Notice this one goes upwards. It is totally different from this stroke, which is a horizontal stroke. So when it is an upward stroke, first of all, you take your finger, put it on the bottom left of that box. You will have a practice book. If you have a practice book, then good. If not, then you just have a paper. Just do like a tick. No need to do like a tick. Just do like an upward stroke, an upward stroke. Now, one thing about Mandarin characters is that whenever you learn or you see materials online or any kind of written form in media communications, you will see that this part is thicker, then this one is thinner. What does that mean? Does this mean you have to shade? You have to shade it and so that it becomes this upward stroke motion, this T? No, no. When you're writing a Mandarin character using a pen, you don't need to like draw this shape one. You just draw an upward line. That's it. Upward line. And there you go. You have your Mandarin character. So please don't shade and do shapes like this. No need. Just an upward line. T. Okay. T. Okay. Now the next one is a dot. Dian. Very simple only. It looks like this in the depiction. It looks like, wow, you have to draw like an entire thing. No, it's not like that actually. This one is just an enlarged version of the dian for you to see. Normally in characters, in written characters, you will see it like this, very small only. See? Dian, dian, these are all dian. Even when you look at some other characters, this one is also dian. You see? It's all that. It's very small. So if you want to write it with your fingers right now, you can just take one and then do a dot, dot. Not like a dot per se, like a dot per se, but it's like a pulled a bit dot like that. Okay. All right. Let's look at another character. How do you write it? Another stroke. This one is downward left. It's called a pie. It's called a pie. How do you write it? Like it's written here, downward left. You start from the top, then you pull down towards your left. Pull down towards your left. Top, pull down towards your left. Pull down towards your left. Okay. One example of this stroke is here. Okay. Very simple, right? Now remember the T just now, the upward stroke, the from left to right, that one. Upward stroke, this one. This one is also another dian. Very small, right? So it's not as big. You can see here it's very big. But in reality, when you're writing it down, it's probably not very big. But this is good for you to practice your strokes. All right. And another one is na. This one is a downward, right? You start from here, go down. There is a flow here, like a slide. So let's try. From your top left, downwards right, downward right, downward right. Okay, downward right. You can see it here. Downward right, downward right. Okay. All right. Remember when I was saying that, okay, it's like not all of them are the same. So some of them, right, you might call it a heng. Some of them you might think, oh, it's just a straight line. But certain characters, it doesn't have that straight line. It might, for an untrained eye, you might look at it as two separate things. One, and then this is the second one. But actually, this is one stroke. This is one stroke. You take your pen, you run it here, and then put it down. It is one stroke, all right? So it is not two strokes. It's not one stroke here and then one stroke here. You don't lift the pen when you're here. This is called a jaw turning. Okay. Another one is go, is a hook. It's like your vertical stroke, your stroke, and then you add a hook. Your hook is on the left. Remember your hook is on the left. That is when we refer to it as go. Certain ones you have to the right, but whenever someone says go, always remember it's to the left. Go is to the left. All right, so some basic rules about stroke orders is always from up to down. Always from up to down. What do you mean by up to down? Look at this word, the word tree. San. How do you write it? Do you write the middle first? The middle stroke first? No, you write from the top to the bottom. So first stroke, second stroke, and third stroke. Always remember up to down. Second rule is always from left to right. What do I mean by left to right? Meaning this character is formed of two parts, right? Two parts. So you write the first part on the left first, then only you write the second part on the right. So don't go around and say and write characters from the right first. Write it on the left first, then only you complete the ones on the right, write it on the left first, then only you complete the ones on the right. Okay? The next one is outside, then inside, then close the door. What is that? So outside, then inside, meaning you look at this word. You complete what is outside first. What is outside first? The walls, the roof, another wall. Then you complete what's inside, then you close the door. Let's see some samples. I'm going to skip this one because I'm going to show you the outside and inside. Okay, so outside and inside, meaning I do the wall, the roof, and the wall. Then I complete what's inside. Then I close the door. Same thing. The wall, the roof, and the wall. And then what's inside. Then I close the door. Okay? All right. Yeah. All right. Recapping a bit on like the left to right. The left to right is, like I said just now, you do whatever that's on the left first. Then you do what's on the right. All right. Going back here. From up to down, you do whatever that is from the top, then you work your way down to the bottom. Same thing as this. You can see that this word is two parts, top and bottom. So you finish the top first, then you do the bottom part. Okay. Then this word is clearly left and right. Therefore, you start from left, then you go to the right. Same thing for this word. Okay. I think we have pretty much covered our lesson. Here are some words that you might learn and use for the Ramadan month. The first one is Muslim. The word Muslim in Mandarin is 穆斯林. Muslim. Then Ramadan. Ramadan is very long. You can just use 穆斯林的斋月. 斋月is Ramadan. 斋月 is Ramadan. However, the word 斋月 is more common for Chinese Muslims. In Malaysia, we would normally say 来卖单月. 来卖单月. Okay? Then you have your Tarawih. Wow, very long, right? 泰拉维阿拜. Bai means prayer. Bai means prayer. This one also you can use in like other form of prayers as well. Bai generally means prayer. Fasting. Fasting. We can say 斋戒. 斋戒 or 逢斋. 逢斋. And then breakfast. We call 开斋. 开斋. Kai means open. 逢斋. Feng means close, seal. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to wish everyone who is Muslim in this class a happy Ramadan. 斋月快乐. And another way to say 斋月快乐 is 斋月喜庆. Okay. And of course, 斋戒快乐 meaning happy fasting. Okay. All right. So does anyone have any questions before I end the class? You will get the slides after the class. Maybe not today, but tomorrow. Yeah. Right. So no questions? No questions. 我们可以下课. So again, guys, I'm just going to wish all the Muslims in this class 斋月快乐 and 斋戒快乐 happy fasting month. Thank you guys for joining the class.